I think it's great. I think you look lovely. I think you look professional, and your home looks beautiful. I think people are going to
Well,
love it.
thank you. Thank you.
Bush would love
It's good to be here.
it. There we go. All righty, righty. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, friends, to the Late Night Playset. My name is Jay Ryan. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's Thanksgiving week. We are here giving thanks in the Good Vibes Club. It's not a club. Thanks for choosing to dial us up this evening. We are, it's like I said, it's a holiday week, and we're going to spend the whole hour with one person. That person happens to be our good old buddy, Ray Shaffer. Ray Shaffer from Porsche is here. Well, he's actually in his own home, but he's here with us, joining us digitally with a great signal. You look fantastic. You got a killer microphone in there. And hello, Ray Shaffer. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Jay. How are you?
I'm
Happy
fantastic.
Thanksgiving week.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so looking forward to this hour. I'm just going to tell everybody that tonight is Tuesday, November 24th, 2020. As I mentioned, Thanksgiving week. We are excited about that. And we are giving thanks. There's a lot to be thankful for. The world is crazy, but it's still spinning, and I sure am grateful for that. Ray Shaffer, there's so many things I want to talk to you about. I feel like we should just get right to it. Anything I have to announce for the show tonight can certainly wait till the end. We've got some great guests coming up, and certainly some holiday festivities as well. So with that, I'm going to bring it over here to my buddy. I'm going to bring us both in the same shot if I can do so, which I think... Oh, geez, that's not it.
Oh, it's over already.
Oh, my goodness. I love it. I love it. I'm the one who's supposed to be good at this. There we
It's
go.
over before it started.
Yeah. Well, Ray, I'm so looking forward to this. We had a great call the other day, which I love our catch-up calls, but somehow we get to different stuff on the show, and I'm really looking forward to it. So it's good to see you, my friend.
And you as well. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it. What a great week, the Thankful Edition 2020, and yeah, it's been an unusual year, but we certainly have a lot to be thankful for.
I have so much to be thankful for. I was going to make a mention of your facial hair, but I am no person should be mentioning anyone's facial hair, given what I've got going on here. If you've been watching the show, Ray, and our friends at home certainly know, I had been letting my beard grow since the election, mainly because it was sort of like, I'm on strike until you guys make a decision on this thing here. I don't care what you decide, just make a decision on this thing here. I'm not gonna do my thing either. So it sounds like maybe some wheels are in motion and a decision has been made. So I have a feeling by tomorrow's show I may have shaved. But you look great with facial hair. So before we even get to what you're up to, I want to say that physically, I think you look great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's the only reason why I do this, is so that I can get that feedback. Now that I have that positive feedback, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, all right. Well, and this has been Ray Shaffer.
Thank you very much.
No, it's great to see you. But yes, I did want you to feel a little bit of love. Also,
Thank you.
it was just it's in my face. You look different than you did last time I spoke with you.
Well, thank
with
you. I
video.
appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was wearing the mask for so long. I forgot to take it off for a few days, and next thing I know, there it is. So,
Oh,
just like that.
Was it really that type of thing where like a long weekend or
No,
whatever? And because
no,
I
no,
certainly can relate.
no. Actually, that's not. I'm just joking. But for the first time ever in my in first time I've ever tried it my entire life. So I don't know. I kind of like it. I think it works. It gives you something to look at other than my nose, and I think that that's a positive.
Every time, Ray Shaffer, every time. I think you're a handsome man. I think the problem that you see is in your own head. It's the reflection in your head.
Oh, it's always fun. Always fun to talk about it. Always fun to talk about it. So thank you. I appreciate that. The problem is everybody, when you see a photo, they're like, oh, you grew a mustache. But it's like, no, actually, there's a lot more here. It's just you can't see it because it's white.
Well, I share that. I do share that. Boy, it's coming in. You got like a weird thing going on. And it's like, no, it's the pattern of whatever nature did or is
Right.
doing. I have a feeling it's a
Exactly.
mosaic in progress.
Yeah, and everybody says,
Was it your choice to never try facial hair before, or was that like a corporate environment type thing where it was not frowned upon, but maybe even not allowed, perhaps?
yeah, I don't, it really wasn't anything like that. I just never, I don't know, I never saw it. And interestingly enough, my dad's had one pretty much his entire life, at least that I've known him. And so I don't know why. I just never thought to do it. And then just, I don't know, just this year, it kind of like, why not?
Well, I say this is the year, right? Why not?
That's right. Why not?
Just in every possible way. Why not?
Yeah, it looks good. Yours is growing in nice and deep there. So good for you. That looks nice.
Uh, Thank you, but it's straight lumberjack. I've done nothing to it. Even when I kept a beard, which I think I probably had a beard when I met you.
Yeah.
I used to keep the beard. I would, you cut into it, you keep your neck clean, you do all there was maintenance involved for anyone who's never had a beard, or for ladies out there who never will have a beard. There's just a lot to it. You think, oh, it's going to be easier. It's not necessarily easier. There are things that you have to do. They're just different things. So I used to have a lot of things I would do to keep a beard. I haven't done any of them. This is straight whatever, and like there's some facial, whatever kind of moisturizer stuff just to sort of tone it down for the show. Otherwise, it's really, kind of Grizzly Adamsy.
Well,
Do
that's
you
it.
have
You
that,
actually
or do you not? You don't let it get to that point.
No, it doesn't really get to that point. It's kind of messy, I think, but you do have to trim it up and everything. And again, for the first time in my life, I get to care for some hair. I mean, it's kind of it's new and exciting. What can I say?
Again, the nose and the head every single time. How old were you when you lost your hair, or when you started losing your hair?
Oh, it just started to
It's
thin
not supposed to be
recently.
that kind of show, but
Yeah, it just started to thin recently. As a matter of fact, I'm still a little sensitive about it. Yeah.
you bring it up every time.
Sorry about that. It's just too much fun. It's too much fun. It's too much fun.
Well, the reason I ask is I have a friend who it never really. I mean, he buzzes his head, and it never really occurred to me. But he was like, "Oh no, I was like he was barely 20, and
Yep.
I mean he's my age, so I mean it's somebody in their 40s now. So it was probably goddamn awful to happen at that time, but also at the same time he probably got like a weird confidence from dealing with that and conquering it, that he's been able to do other things, I think, as well, because this person is wildly successful. You probably know who this person is, but anyway, I didn't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Does it matter? Where did it happen for you?
About the same, actually, about late teens. So yeah, I mean, I think I might have said it before, but guys like Al Holbert, who I remember in sports car racing back in that time period, I just used to think to myself, he's a pretty damn cool guy, and if he can, he can do that, I can do that. So
Heck yeah. Did you gain confidence from it? Was it traumatic at the time? I don't mean to make the whole thing about it, but I mean, I'm at an age where I've got my own things going on, and I've got the miracle of television working in my favor, right now. So, so I'm curious. I'm asking people. But was it traumatic, or was it not really a big deal because you had those people to look up to?
yeah, I mean, at first it was kind of like, oh gee, what are you going to do? Because at one point in time I did have hair.
Right.
And Ramsey Potts will be the first one to show the picture because he keeps it handy in his favorites on his iPhone. In fact, he just pulled it
Ramsey.
out. Yeah, I was sharing it on Saturday night, but that's showing it to some people. Always quick with that picture. That was from like when we were like 19 or 20, I think. Anyway, so yeah, at first, but you get over it pretty quickly. I mean, you don't really have any choice. So, yeah, there are bigger things to do in life than worry about that.
Is it the first time you buzz it that's it? Is that when like, oh, you're over, you have no choice but to be over it?
If you look at pictures, if we had Facebook going back to the 90s up until now, you would see a gradual down to this kind of deal. But no, it wasn't. Once I got to this point, this is wonderful. I just wish it would stop growing back, so I wouldn't have to do anything about what little it does.
Yeah, yeah. during COVID, especially, I did this anyway, but especially during COVID, I've been cutting my own hair. If you couldn't tell, this masterpiece has been concocted by this master. But with that, you notice things that you wouldn't necessarily notice, like, oh, what the pattern is of growth or lack of growth or whatever. It's kind of funny. It's funny. I don't have anybody else to talk to about this. I have bald friends, I guess, but I've never brought it up. Maybe I'm just finally of an age where I'm confident enough to bring it up.
That's right. You can call me anytime. We'll talk about it. Happy to talk you down out of the tree on that one.
Thanks. Well, if you said, yeah, when you buzz it, that's when you get your power back or whatever. That's when you don't give a shit. I would have said, oh, great. Then let's do that. And let's do it on the show and, whatever. But being that you didn't say that, that got me off the hook. Woo!
Well, I don't know. You just brought up something maybe we should try. Maybe that would be good television.
I'm willing to do it.
Everybody leave your comments below, and let's get a vote going here. Should Jay Ryan shave his head?
Yeah, or should someone do it?
Yes.
We'll have someone do it. Maybe that'll be a thing. We could do a raffle and somebody gets to do it. Do it for charity or something.
At Cars and Coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, off of your noggin, because I think you're a damn handsome man. And by the way, could you be more stylish? Like, I feel like every movie villain who was bald was so goddamn stylish that made them handsome and powerful.
What is the Dr. Evil? Oh, yeah.
Hello. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. Hey, you know what? We're going to talk about this later, but if not already, please consider following Ray Shaffer for your backstage pass to all things Porsche, brand heritage, and the occasional plug for his friends, which he does in fact do. That's Ray.Shaffer, Shaffer. Ray Shaffer, off of your noggin, I really, really, really would like to know, we talked about it briefly the other day, I would like to know about your recent ride in the 944 Turbo, how it came to be, what it was, and what your experience was. We'll get on to Porsche for our viewers at home.
Yeah. Yeah, we have the love for that transaxle sports car in common. I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but this year, one of the things I'm grateful for in 2020 is the opportunity to spend a good amount of seat time in my friend Martin's what's considered a pre-Turbo Cup 944. They built 7 cars for the professional showroom stock endurance racing series in the mid 1980s. And they were lighter weight cars with no sunroof, no air conditioning, factory roll cage, Recaro seats, built to go showroom stock racing, professional showroom stock racing in the mid 1980s. By the time the SCCA series and shortly after the Firehawk series started, was very big business, very popular. In fact, there was so much contingency involved in winning one of those championships that I remember reading in Road and Track that the series champion actually paid out more prize money than winning the Daytona 24 Hours that year.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, showroom stock sports car racing was a big deal in the 1980s, and it seemed like every manufacturer was involved in it. Of course, Porsche was as well, and they started with these 7 cars, and eventually that turned into what became known as the Turbo Cup and the one make race series that they did in Germany and throughout Europe, and then eventually made its way out to other parts of the world. Canada had the Rothmans Turbo Cup. You might remember seeing those cars, a Canadian series.
Very much so, yes. Yeah, I mean, again, because I was a fan, so whenever I saw that shape, I was gravitated towards whatever livery was on it. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. And there's some great racing. A lot of guys came up through that you might recognize, like Scott Goodyear, who was a IndyCar driver and a sports car racer.
I do remember him from Indy. I didn't know the Porsche connection, I didn't know
big level. And
I didn't.
Yeah, outstanding. Yes, he did that one make series. Go on YouTube and search some of those Rothmans Turbo Cup races. Incredible in-car. There's one in particular from Mont Tremblant where there was a problem in qualifying, and Scott Goodyear started in the back of the field. And again, these are all pretty much identical 944 Turbo Cups. And he, through driving talent and perseverance, just pushes his way from last to first And it's an incredible video. Very tough track, very fast cars, but it's great YouTube watching. That's for sure. So we have this opportunity this year to get behind the wheel, and it really started here in Road Atlanta. The car came to the shop shortly after being purchased at auction, and not really having any baseline for the team to work with, no records or anything like that. They basically just safetied the car, and it went to Daytona last year for the Classic 24, and then after that it came back here to Atlanta. Yeah, that's the car. And it came back to Atlanta, and right after Amelia Island, there was a running issue that they wanted to work out. And so my friend called and said, "Would you mind meeting Michael at the track on Friday and drive my car to see if we can figure out what that little stumbling problem is?" And so, yeah, you don't say no to an offer like that. So
Someone's
yeah, we
asking you to go test drive their race car. That's no problem.
Yeah, so no problem there. So we went and did that. Couldn't solve the problem at the track that day. So went back to the shop, worked on it. The next track day was a couple months later in June, and we managed to. I just was driving. The team managed to figure out what the problem was.
The team and me.
Yes, it is a team effort. It's a team effort. So solve that running issue, and then next thing you know, why don't we do the fall historics at Road Atlanta with it, which is the beginning of October, and so I had a chance to go and do that. We just had a blast. It was off and on rain all weekend, and Road Atlanta is just such a fun track, wet or dry.
Love.
Yeah, had a great time with the car there, and then after that, it was like, well, that was so much fun. Why don't we take it down to Daytona for the Classic 24? And this is about 200. These turbos were the 220 to 250 horsepower 4-cylinders, and the gearing and everything is pretty much whatever it was from the factory. And so we figured it would be pretty good for Daytona. It didn't seem quite right for Road Atlanta. And again, not really having done anything with the car as far as setup goes, not knowing what the baseline or anything was, we kind of figured it might be better for Daytona. And so anyway, long story short, we get there, and Daytona is so big and it's so fast. If you could just imagine taking a car like a 944 turbo and using every last bit of RPM that it has, bringing it up to the red line, and holding it there. I mean, that track, the majority of the time, you're wide open throttle on that track. And I mean, it was 6,500 RPM through the banking at one point with the unrestricted exhaust. Yeah, it was a screamer for sure. And it was just so aerodynamically stable. I think that's the other thing. I mean, the speedometer doesn't work on the car, so I couldn't tell you what the speed was. But if I remember reading magazine articles about it back in the day, I think it should be somewhere in the 150 range, speed-wise. But aerodynamically, it was super stable. The car just didn't move. And when you consider how small the rear spoiler is on that car, and there really isn't much of an air dam on the front.
It's not very big, but it's very scoopy because it's got the sides, and it really it probably does. It probably does disrupt a lot of air, I would guess.
Yeah, it's such a good looking car too. I mean, the design of it, just especially in red like that with the Fuchs wheels.
I definitely agree with you.
Such a good looking car. So yeah, really enjoyed that. It was, the brakes on the car. Look at that shot there. Just that's when we had added the lights for the what was going to be the night portion of it. Well, make a long story short, we had an oiling issue. You can see how the car's at an angle there on the banking, and the engine sits at an angle to begin with, and so it didn't really like the extended sort of oil starvation a little bit.
Oh, I see. Well, that's
so we had a little bit of
historically that was a 911 issue as well, because of the flat six. Yeah,
and so they solved that obviously with the the 911 is a dry sump, and this is a wet sump lubrication system. So again, not having any baseline with what to work with, we had some issues with it, which meant that that first session on Wednesday morning's practice was going to be it. And then Martin got to the track, and he's one of those kind of guys. He's never say quit. He's like, well, it's only Wednesday, and the 24-hour doesn't start until Saturday. And he said, you're from Florida. Surely you know somebody that's got a 944 engine sitting around. Why don't you get on the phone and see if you can find one?
This sounds like Days of Thunder.
Yeah,
it's race day.
Yeah. So I did that. I got on the phone and found a friend that used to race them and had a repair shop. And he was kind enough to sell us the engine. Of course, it was described as I put it on the shelf, about 10 years ago, and I don't remember
then.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was running when I put it there.
That ran when I took it out.
$800 later, we had us an engine. So,
but
how we went up. Well, we went up to pick it up, and pulling it off the rack with the forklift and everything. I mean, it just looked like a big boat anchor. Basically, yeah. There's a lot of salt air in Jacksonville and everything being close to the ocean. But at any rate, while we were driving up and getting that and bringing it back, the team was working to pull the engine. And if you do know anything mechanical about a transaxle 944, removing the engine, removing the torque tube, the transmission in the back, getting all that out is not the easiest thing to do. And the team, they were working on that in the garage at the track. The lighting was okay. It wasn't great. And, they had to find a cherry picker to pull the engine. It's not typically the thing you bring to a racetrack with you, but they managed to find it. And while they were pulling that, we went and got the engine, brought it back. And I got to tell you, the next day for the entire Thursday, they worked on swapping over those engines. And it was just amazing that we were running again by Friday morning.
And how did that engine run?
It ran, which was amazing. Just amazing considering, again, not knowing what you were starting with. No baseline whatsoever.
But so it did okay.
Yeah, they did it. They made it run. They again, it just goes to show you, I think, the stoutness of the engineering that's in there to pull something like that off the shelf. And of course, when they said they opened it up and drained and did what they did, that it wasn't exactly I get rid of my screen. Wasn't exactly the freshest fluids coming out of it. So
right.
There was a lot of unknowns. We kind of went into it like, well, this is going to be almost like a game of musical chairs. We had the three of us driving the car, and at some point in time, we figured the music would stop, and we weren't sure who would be the one, standing without a place to sit.
That's great. That's a perfect analogy, especially for endurance.
Yeah, for sure. But we had a lot of fun with it. Eventually, that engine gave up the ghost too. But boy, we got through another hour-long enduro race with it, and the 8-lap qualifying race with it, and as well as halfway through another sprint race before it finally had enough. But
that's pretty impressive.
It was. It really was. But for me, it was the teamwork and the tenacity for the technicians, the mechanics that were working on the car with no manuals, just going off of their own experience, their expertise and professionalism to do a swap like that, to make it work, and then to put drivers in it on a track like Daytona, and it was great. I mean, it made the green flag, and we obviously didn't make it all the way through the 24, but wow, what an experience. And again, I'm so impressed with the work ethic of the Vintage Racing Company.
Well, and I think it's just really cool that you got to be a part of it.
Absolutely. It's very, very thankful for that to Martin and the team for having the opportunity. That livery that's on the car, by the way, that's all period correct. The Road and Track sponsorship that's on there from the magazine, the Schneider Nelson, which was a Porsche dealership back in the day.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
I thought it might be like a parts maker or something. I didn't know.
No, actually, I think it was up in the New York area, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
it's just a good looking car. You were right about the color, but the shape. I think perhaps the fact that there isn't a sunroof It kind of has a 944 roofline that you don't get to see. It's more 911 like. It's not broken up. I guess by that I mean it looks a little more round. The whole
Yeah.
shape to the car is just really, really good. The setup and you're right, aerodynamically, I remember mine being very stable, even just on highway, at highway speeds. And I didn't have any
Yeah.
of the kit on there that you guys do, man.
Well, you might notice in the picture there that that yellow line down, that's the on the banking there, that's the apron down below that.
Hmm.
And
Oh, so we have an
in
angle
the
change
class,
here. I see. Yeah, pitch change.
yeah, very very significant. And the reason why you do that is because in the Classic 24, they group the cars by decade. So that car was built, in 1985, 86, right in that time period. You know what else was built in that time period as well, right? The 962.
Oh,
Yeah. So that means that means that while you're going around the corner at maybe at 150 coming into the start finish line, the 962 is coming by at about 40 to 50 miles an hour faster than you're going. And yeah, big speed difference. Big speed difference. So you want to stay down low on the line like that. It was interesting when we went out there on Wednesday with the first engine. We had an unrestricted exhaust on the car, and it sounded like a race car, and hopefully it gave it a little bit more power. But when we put the replacement engine in there, we put the stock exhaust back on it because we figured the restrictions of it might actually help the compression of the engine and just be easier on it, not knowing what we were working with. But it's so much quieter than the race exhaust that when I first went out on the track and was running that low line, you could hear what I thought was a tire shredding because you kept hearing all this rubber hitting the inside of the
oh,
wheel,
geez.
the fender well.
Holy cow.
And
That's amazing.
yeah,
But what
yeah,
it
and I thought,
wasn't that. It's just stuff. It's
well,
okay
that's what it
stuff.
was. I mean, for like 5 seconds, I thought, oh boy, my tire's starting to shred. This thing is going to blow, because you could hear it, but you could feel a little bit of it. You were running over some rubber that had been laid down, but
Wow.
then it came back to me. It's like I'm down here in the dirty part of the track, basically, and I can hear what's happening now. Whereas the last time I drove the car, I couldn't hear any of that because of the race exhaust.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was
Was
louder
that
than
like
some.
marbles being thrown back up from your stickiness as well? Like all of that at the same time?
Yes,
Wow.
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So
so you were
once you know
literally in
that,
debris.
right? Yeah, because you're staying down low to stay out of the way of the GTP cars. Yeah. So
What an experience. That must have been remarkable. I mean,
it is.
one time, I can't remember his name. Oyster Ray brought the 962 up to the Breakfast Club one time, and just seeing it up there was nuts. Having it, be in people's rearview mirrors was nuts. This is just on a no, people were driving at very regular speed limits. I can't even imagine at speed. I can't imagine at speed.
It's amazing. 20 years ago when I did the Grand Am Daytona finale, which was a professional race in a 993 RSR. We were in a competitive class. They had SRP1 cars, which were open top prototypes. They had SRP2, which were the smaller engine open top prototypes. And then you had these All American GT cars, which were tube frame, like Trans Am type
Mm.
cars, with big domestic V8s in them. And then you had the GT cars. So you had these four different categories of cars. And that race was a night race. And it was my first night race of something with that kind of competitive level and magnitude. I'd done club racing with it, but never anything professional like that, where you had this high level of competitiveness going on and these different speed differentials between the cars. And I just remember at nighttime looking in the rearview mirror as you would come out of a corner. For example, on the infield where the horseshoe is, you come out of that corner, you accelerate, and you're heading towards the kink, which is a flat out left hand corner. There's one line through it. Basically, you go from two lanes into one, and then it exits out, and you've got to hold your line. Once you commit to it, you've got to stay there so that you can make it around the corner without going off the track. And when you look up in your mirror, you could see that there would be headlights behind you, and you'd have to try and figure out, is that somebody that I should let go, like a faster prototype car?
Or do I
Or is
race
that
them?
somebody, am I racing them? And that was really difficult to figure out. It's a challenge that all race car drivers in endurance sports car racing face, is knowing when to fight, knowing when to give somebody the line, but at the same time you have to maintain your lap time and your speed.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that as we were heading into what was going to be the 3 a.m. night shift that I was going to have with that car, with the GTP cars out there in this historic race. And then as I was like starting to get concerned about, gee, this is somebody's now very expensive 962. I don't want to be the one that, gets in their way and causes something. And then it dawned on me, it's like when you're racing a showroom stock car in a group of race cars from the 80s and 90s, you pretty much have the slowest car on the track. So everything that's going to be in the rearview mirror is going to be coming fast.
Just give way, Ray Shaffer. Give way.
Right.
Oh, that's funny. It's
good stuff.
I have no frame of reference here. When I had my 944 on the track, it was against Toyotas and Hondas, and there were super, like, just weird things because the 944 was not an expensive car back then. It really wasn't. And whatever classes I was in to go around Lime Rock, or even the autocross stuff that we did around Connecticut, it was just, you were in the competition was very, very similar. It felt anyway. If something came in with high horsepower, it would have been like a Dodge Stealth or something like that,
Right.
Like a twin turbo Stealth. And that would have maybe blown the doors off somebody in a straight line. Yeah, I have no frame of reference. I can't even imagine. And when you talk about the rearview mirror and trying to differentiate, I think that some of those prototype cars are probably a little bit easier just because of the nature of how they're built and stuff. So many of those cars are built on regular car chassis platforms. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put myself in your position of like, how do you even do that? I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's seat time. I mean, it really does take a lot of
experience.
It takes a lot of seat time. I think you just learn it, and again, you still see it happen now. Petit Le Mans recently, where GT cars, I mean, the competition level between the Porsche RSRs, the factory team, up against the Corvette C8Rs, and the back and forth that they're doing, the BMWs that are in there, they're fighting, and then here come the top 5 prototype cars. Again, same thing, super competitive. There's only so much room on the track. I mean, but I think that's really obviously one of the appeals of endurance sports car racing, is managing all that. But it also, at the same time, I think it's one of the motivators and why you look to move up into the faster cars, so that you can be the one making the passes instead of being passed.
Well, that's interesting. I said give way before, but it does bring up an interesting point. I mean, does it come down to racing and where the line is and who is where? Is it gentlemanly? Like, what does... Obviously, those cars are faster. Obviously, they're more maneuverable, more nimble. When I say those cars, I mean, say a prototype car. When somebody is coming down on you, where is the line? Are you, is there goaltending where you can't cut him off when you're trying to get to the kink or whatever, when the funnel's down? Where is the line and who gives way? Because you're right. I mean, you're quite a gentleman, I know, in real life, and I've never raced you, but I can't imagine you get too mean and angry and dirty. So I have a feeling like the things that you're thinking about and telling our audience about are it's a very respectful position and a very respectful perspective. Is everyone that way? Are the faster cars that way, or do they expect you to get the hell out of their way? Or
no, I think from what I've seen, everybody knows everybody for the most part, and you get to, throughout the course of the season, you get to know who does what their habits are, what some cars are easier to pass than others. So you pick and choose wisely. You don't want to make a mistake on either end of it, whether you're the one passing or you're the one being passed.
Now you bring up an interesting point. It is still the same season. It is still all the same people. It is just like any other sport. You do get to know the personalities and the cars.
But things happen, and that you get in the way. You think somebody's going to do something, you don't. I think probably one of the worst things you can do is second guess. If you've made a commitment to something, you're usually better off to stick with it and not change.
As someone else on the road, I would appreciate if you did.
That's right. That's right. So it's interesting, but it's one of the reasons why it's such a great sport. I mean, and why it's so interesting to watch and see what's going on, be involved in it. And yeah, it's an amazing sport, no question.
Did I ever ask you even how, well, you know what? I'm going to ask you in a second how Ray Shaffer even got into racing. But before that, let me take a moment to remind you about St. Clair Insurance. St. Clair Insurance, coverageforyourtoys.com, coverageforyourtoys.com, coverageforyourtoys.com. They say all that separates men and boys is the coverage for their toys. St. Clair Insurance has coverage for your toys. What kind of toys, Ray Shaffer? Pretty much anything you could possibly imagine. We've gotten it down to even the bar stools with the V8s that you can drive down the street in the competitions, or the Barca loungers, all that stuff. If it's got a motor and theoretically it's on the road, it's insurable. Somebody else brought up something the other day. I want to find out about this. What about aircraft? I wonder about aircraft. Maybe those ultralights. And there's the kind you can, you attach to a parachute with a motor on your back and you go run off a cliff. I wonder if all that stuff's insurable. Even if you're already a Haggerty customer, we recommend you check out coverageforyourtoys.com and St. Clair Insurance, because you may be missing out on a rep. You could get a rep, a representative, a buddy, somebody to hold your hand, goddamn, if something does go wrong. Hopefully not, especially with your collector cars. But things do happen, and that's why we have insurance. Check out St. Clair Insurance and coverageforyourtoys.com. Coverageforyourtoys.com, coverageforyourtoys.com. Coverage for your toys.
Gotta protect.
Can't help it. Nationwide Warehouse. I love it. I love Jeff Sinclair. I love the company. I love the way they do business. I hope that our people are at least checking them out. Please do, because it's a good company, and I hope they stay with us. That's the other thing. We hope that it works out for everybody. So Ray Shaffer, now that we got that out of the way, did I ever ask you, how on earth did you ever get interested in racing? Where did it come from for you?
Wow. I guess Speed Racer cartoons, maybe that's where it started, right? Because if we're going all the way back to the beginning, if the first word out of your mouth was car, at some point you're sitting in front of a Speed Racer cartoon on television.
Interesting.
And which is interesting, because if you go back and look at the original Speed Racer, you can see that it was drawn around the time that the golden age of sports car racing, call it the mid 50s to the mid 60s, that time period.
Oh, you mean the era of how the car is?
Yeah. And that's what they look like. So, the Mach 5 and all the cars that were on this show, if you look at it today, you can kind of pick out the inspiration from the 550 Spiders and the 718s, the Ford GTs and what have you, and the Ferraris. It's fabulous. So I would say it probably started with that. But gosh, I didn't really actually get to drive until I was in my late teens, and that's actually when I met Ramsey. We were joking about that earlier, but we started go-kart racing at about the same time in our late teens, and gosh, I was able to keep doing it. And when I finally got to Brumos, I was able to, spend some of my own money on the Skip Barber Racing School and move from karts into cars.
That's a nice jump. Which Skip Barber did you do? Because I did that also. I did the one up at Lime Rock in the 90s.
Yeah, that's Skip Barber's home track. He's from that area.
He owns the damn thing now.
It's
Skip
right,
Barber's backyard playground now.
That's right.
Which did you do the one at Road Atlanta?
No, actually, my first one was at Mid-Ohio, because I was living in Pittsburgh at the time. And then when I was doing the series, I went back and did got my license. It was all at Sebring. I think I've driven every configuration of that track that they use down there, and there's quite a few. So did that school, got my license, and then they ran their own regional series. So I did the entire winter series 1 year.
A Sebring series or a Skip Barber series?
It was Skip Barber Regional Series. They had the national one, the Barber Dodge Pro Series is what it was called. And they used to do regional versions, smaller versions of it. And that's where guys like Ryan Hunter-Ray came up. He was one of the drivers back then that was right around the same time. And of course, now he's an Indy 500 champion, an IndyCar champion. So Skip Barber trained a lot of racers. And at any rate, I did the Southern Series, which was consisted of Sebring, multiple configurations, Moroso, which is West Palm Beach International, and Homestead. And we went through variations of those tracks, so a couple races every month, and it was a full series. And so that was a lot of fun. That really prepared me then to make the jump into professional sports car racing after that, through showroom stock and then into the GT car.
So when you got into Skip Barber, you stayed in the program. I mean, you really stayed with it. Wow. What cars, when you first went to that first one at Mid-Ohio, what cars were they running? Do you remember?
Yeah, they were the Formula Fords, and they were still using, I believe, Ford power plants at that point in time.
Wow.
Then by the time we get to the early 2000s, they had a partnership with Dodge, and so they were using the four cylinders, I think, were out of the Neons, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the program I went through was Dodge, and it was the Neon, the Stealth, I think the Viper, or they had the Viper there. I can't remember if we drove it or not. But like the Avenger, whatever, it was all Dodge products up to whatever the fastest one was, probably the Stealth. And that was, we learned car control and all that stuff, whipping the e-brake and how to, just all the things that now are second nature, but you don't really know the physics until you do something like that. But it sounds like a far more demure, more elementary version of things than you were doing in the Formula Fords.
Well, I mean, really, those were the cars. The Formula Dodges were the cars that we raced in that regional series. So pretty much the same car you went to school in. Wow. And I remember them saying the power to weight ratio of that Formula car, it was the same as it was on the Dodge Viper. So you really are driving a car. You learn a lot with that. You don't need a lot of horsepower when you don't have a lot of weight, and just what you learn in balancing a car like that. I mean, it kind of brings us back to the conversation about the 944. That car was famous in the 1980s for always the car magazine saying, this is the best balanced, best handling car that you can buy. Almost perfect.
Not just Porsche, any car.
Right. And so, I mean, it's when I think back to Road Atlanta and Daytona with that car this year, it's such a sweet handling car. I mean, it's everything from your track days and driving it on the road.
What a ride.
Yeah.
I remember saying to you on the phone, I said, I think your 944 probably had a little more kick to it than mine. And then Ray told me that engine story he just told all of you. So who knows? Might have been similar. Ray, I want to go to the wide shot here for a second. And I want to turn the bubbles on, which I wish I could make happen at your place, but I can't. And I want to talk about the congratulations that are in order for your 5 years at Porsche. Is that right? Do I have that correct?
Yeah. That's right. Absolutely.
So this is in celebration. We're having a big thing.
When did you get that?
Oh, the bubble machine? Oh, I think as soon as the Letterman desk arrived. We just don't turn it on very often. And you probably don't watch the comedy episodes as much, but we've got that. We've got radioactive steam here as well, where I push a button on the desk and there's some steam that comes out. I don't know if that's on or not, but it may or may not.
Well,
there's all sorts of buttons. But for you, and this wonderful occasion, it's the bubbles, because it's sort of like confetti and a big thing. I want the fanfare of the congratulations.
Oh man,
5 years is a big deal with the company.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. And I got to tell you a quick story about that, because this really speaks to the culture of Porsche and why we love the company so much. I mean, there's enthusiasts in that company like you can't imagine. And I got to say, I went down to Daytona. I was down there Wednesday through Sunday, and we see a lot of our friends, and the bubbles are still going. That's okay.
Yeah,
we're still
there's a few stragglers. It's clearing out now.
That's all right. That's all right. But my boss, who is also a racer in his background, a racer at heart, but also an engineer, the manager for Porsche Classic here in North America, he actually flew down for the day on Thursday when they were doing that engine swap, and I wasn't going to have any track time or anything like that, but he came down specifically to hand deliver the 5-year anniversary plaque that they give you, the nice pin and lapel pin and plaque for the 5-year service award with PCNA. And I was just so blown away by that. I posted about it because, I mean, him knowing, being a racer, knowing how special Daytona is to someone like me, being with Brumos as long as I was, that was our home track. There he is. All the history. That's Jonathan. I was just blown away. I mean, what a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. That's leadership, and that's the type of culture that we have inside Porsche. And I think, that just blew me away. I just am so impressed by that.
Especially given everything going on in the world.
Yeah. It's not easy to travel.
It's wonderful, and you deserve the salute. But I mean, really, considering everything going on, getting to you is a big deal these days.
Yeah, and I mean, we're obviously here we all are here in Atlanta, but to take the opportunity to do that, to make an impact, it was really felt, and I appreciate that greatly. So thank you, and thank you for recognizing it as well.
Oh, my buddy, it was a big deal. It's a big deal. You and I talk about things, and
we do.
Career is one of the things we talk about, and Porsche is just, man, they're just, they're up here.
It's a heck of a company. It really is a great group of people.
Well, you're one of them. I think my point is, I think you're one of the people that makes it here, that keeps it here. I think they're celebrating you because they should.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
You are a connection between us people, us Porsche files, and Porsche. I mean, you really are a connection. You spend time with me as a friend. You spend time with our audience and your audience on Fresh-Brewed Air-Cooled, which we'll talk about in just a second. You really are very, very giving of your time and of your knowledge, and I just feel that that it's. I don't want you to think, it was really, really. Of course, it's a wonderful thing, but also you deserve it. You deserve it, sir.
Oh, thank you.
And that's important for you to realize.
I do, and I really appreciate it. I am very grateful, and again, when you look at it's Thanksgiving week, it's not lost on me. It isn't. I'm very, very thankful for that, and for the friendships that come out of it. This last weekend, I was just in Savannah. We just did the surprise. I was invited down to present Jim Goodlett with his Sportsman of the Year award from the Oglethorpe Driving Club, and he has this saying that the cars that are here are basically these conversation starters. There he is. And that's, of course, our friend Ramsey in the background there. But
there he is, Ramsey, and he's doing it. He's doing it, Ramsey.
Yeah. There he is. Yeah. You need to have him. You need to have him back on one of these times. Get caught up with him. He's been a busy guy too.
That is a great idea. I would love it. He's got such an energy that it probably would be able to translate through our little interface here. He's so great in person. There were certain people that we weren't sure in the beginning, and I feel like the interface is getting better. I know that you are crystal clear tonight.
Thank you. And that, that's the point too on the whole idea of this, what I'm getting at. This Porsche, is a community, and the people in it are just phenomenal. I mean, East Coast, West Coast, in between, all around the world. I mean, I've been to Cars and Coffee in Stuttgart, and you look at what Patrick Long has done with the couple of shows they had Luca called overseas. It's just a great community. It really is. I mean, when you can speak Porsche, you have something in common with folks all over the world, and it brings us together.
I love that. Well, see, this is what I'm saying. You're the right guy for that job.
Thank you.
I love it. They should be celebrating you.
I love it too.
Speaking of, I don't know. Speaking of things that should be spoken of, I'll just say it that way. Would you like to say a few words about Jim Pace?
Yes, I actually. When we were down in Daytona, Jim Pace, unfortunately, we lost him to complications from COVID-19, and I got to know Jim over the last year. I knew who he was for a long time because he's a Daytona and a Sebring winner. He's a professional race car driver, but he was one of those Skip Barber instructors as well that was always there, and even through his involvement with HSR, Historic Sports Car Racing, Jim was very involved with helping other people drive better, safer on the track, having more fun. Jim was a heck of a friend to so many people and a great coach. And he was also involved in events. Last year we did a road rally with HSR. It was based out of Chattanooga. He was involved in the Chattanooga Motor Car Festival and making that happen for this part of the world. And it's just a huge loss. I mean, when we were at Daytona, he was supposed to be there driving the Leighton House 962. He drove it last year. There's an incredible video that's on YouTube. If you put in HSR and you look for 962 in-car at Daytona, Jim actually talks you through the lap, multiple laps, as he's driving the 962 at full chat. And he's so calm as he goes through it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But, you know, he's such a good guy, such a gentle person and a giving person. It's a huge loss. It's felt by everybody in the community, and I'm sure his family and friends. I feel so badly, but we knew that he was not there because he got COVID-19 and that he was sick with it. But, you know, he's the first person that I know to have passed away related to it. And it's just shock for us all.
Oh, well, for your personal loss, I'm very sorry for your personal loss.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel for his family.
And to Jim Pace,
well.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Saw that you posted it. I knew it was a big deal. Then when we talked about it on the phone, I'm glad that you didn't mind sharing.
No, not at all. I mean, it's you know, gosh, a life like his is to be celebrated, and it's an example again of how you should share your enthusiasm and your fun. You know, that what you love, other people will too, and maybe they don't know how to enjoy it or get to that point, and you can certainly help out. And he did.
Whatever lights your light, right?
Yeah.
Well, not quite time to wrap it up, but it's getting there. I want to talk about Fresh-Brewed and Air-Cooled. We're just on a short hiatus right now, right? It's been a couple weeks without an episode, but I figured, the end of the year's wrapping up here. Do we have more episodes to look forward to?
We sure do. We sure do. As a matter of fact, yeah, we've had a little bit of a break because the schedule in October, November just got crazy. So, you know, it's our first year. The whole thing was born out of COVID-19 as far as being work from home. And, you know, what do you do in the evenings? What do you do on the weekend when you've already been, you know, in your office all day long? And so, you know, Cam and I sort of came up with that idea, and it kind of grew from that. So we didn't really start it with some big grand plan of how we would schedule this, how we would do all this. And as familiar. You know, yeah, I was going to say, as you well know, it's a little bit of work.
But it does sound very familiar. We're not sure what the goal is, but we have an idea and we want to run with it.
And the feedback, you know, again, speaking of community, the feedback from the folks that do watch it and comment and call and stop you at a show that you go to, you know, it so makes it worth it. It's so much fun to know that other people get something out of it and enjoy it as much as we do. And so I think what we're going to do is that we've got one coming out this Saturday at 11 a.m. We're going to have Patrick Long as our. Yeah,
so we don't even have to wait for the holidays. We've got one right here just after Thanksgiving. Once you bought your new TV on Black Friday, your new smart TV, you got to dial up the Fresh-Brewed and Air-Cooled first thing Saturday morning.
That's absolutely right. So you'll be sitting at home, right? You can watch that, have a nice cup of coffee, and of course, once it's up, as with your show, it's there, so you can watch it whenever it's convenient for you. And yeah, Pat was great. It was really, you know, they just finished up an incredible season. They just won Sebring.
Congratulations to Patrick Long. Yeah. That was a big deal. It was 3 weeks ago now. Yeah. Big deal.
Yeah. So very happy for him. This was recorded before that, but nevertheless, I think we'll have this with Pat this weekend, and then perhaps one more before the end of the calendar year, and then we're going to come back. We're going to come back with a plan, and we'll approach it so that we can keep a proper pace to it. But we've got a lot of great ideas, and I think a lot of things that really help fine-tune it more towards, you know, what Cam does and what I do and what our background is. And, you know, that I think is a little bit of an angle that, you know, there's only one Cam. And so to have him talking about the topics that we do, the depth that we do, is something that we really want to hone in on. So it's just a lot to do, lot to come, and some interesting guest names too that I think people will really be happy to see that you might have not heard from before.
You always have great guests. That is, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Whoever your guest is spectacular. I really don't want other people to miss the fact that you and Cam are so good together. There is a relationship there that is developing still, and it's very interesting for us all to watch. And especially if you watch them from the beginning and to now, you can see how you've both grown in the roles. And it's just fun. It's really fun. It's very easy. And if you like cars and car stuff and you want to know, fill your noggin with more knowledge, check out Fresh-Brewed and Air-Cooled. It sounds like it'll be more regular in the future, but definitely check it out Saturday for now.
Thank you.
Patrick
Thank
Long.
you. Well, I
the most recent one, was
that.
it Jeff's Wort? Was that the most recent from maybe a month or so ago?
Yes, it's been up now for a while, but man, it's such a Jeff. He's a friend of yours as well, and has been on your show. Jeff
he's in my heart more than a friend. He
yes.
made his way into my heart very quickly.
He's that type of person. Yes, absolutely, and yeah, we managed to talk with him right after he was within the week that he had run Pikes Peak in the 935, and then went and did the 906 drive with a group of other folks from Road Scholars. And that film actually just came out on Road Scholars channel last week. So if you haven't seen that yet, check out their YouTube page at Road Scholars and watch the
Peak to Peak.
That's right.
Was that the one?
Yeah. Well, Peak to Peak, because
excuse me. Yes. That's so cool. And by the way, if you don't know what that is, it's a bunch of 906s on a road trip.
Yes.
Like on the streets. It's very, very cool.
On the street. Yeah. So check that out. It's the photography is beautiful. The filmmaking, and kudos to Cam's crew there. He basically has one person working the video and one working the still photos, and they work great together. Andrew and Brian, and they work on the podcast that we do as well.
Are they the ones doing the editing?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Great. And the post-production and stuff is great on your show.
Thank you. They do a wonderful job. So kudos to them.
And of course, theme song by John Oates. Couldn't help but mention John Oates did your theme song.
I love that.
It's just cool, man. It's just cool. If you have that, how can you not mention it?
I can't wait for you. I can't wait for you to meet him and talk with him and have him on your show, because John is such a swell guy. I mean, really, like Ramsey Potts. I mean, just another great guy. Like Jeff's Wort. I mean, it's amazing. We have so many wonderful people in our community. How did we get so blessed?
Exchanged messages recently. I exchanged messages with him recently, so it will happen. He was excited about it. It will happen. It's just a matter of when and how. I think I would really like for that to be in person if possible, and I would be more than happy to wait for it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I get it. We're getting there. It'll be soon.
Oh, jeez.
We'll get life back to normal.
I think the fog machine finally warmed up. Oh, that's funny. Okay, one last question, and it's going to be what is new? What do we have to look forward to? But before I do that, I want to bring up very quickly that COVID time is still going on, people. And it is what it is. You can feel about it how you feel about it. I have no judgment there. But I do know that we're supposed to be wearing masks. So if you're in a part of the world where you should be wearing a mask and you see someone who isn't, you could say to them, hey, need a mask? ShopHunziker.com. That's what we did. And then go on about your business, because I wouldn't stick around to talk about it.
I have 3 of them sitting right over here from Hunziker. I love them.
Yeah, I do too. The new ones I feel like are even softer than the old ones. They got the tensioners and everything. Super cool.
Yeah.
So highly check out shophunziker.com. With that, though, I want to wrap it up with Ray Shaffer and find out what is happening maybe in the new year with Porsche, what things happening in the Heritage Gallery, and just anything that you want people to know about you and things coming up.
Well, actually, if you look at the PEC Atlanta, they are celebrating their 5th anniversary. This has been the 5th anniversary year. And so December, is it December 9th? Let me look at the date here. I want to make sure that I get this right. But
and also congratulations to the PEC Atlanta on 5 years. It's that time. Oh, I can't help it. Please continue, Ray Shaffer. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This is good. It's perfect. It's perfect for what I'm about to say because there's a special virtual party happening that you can register. There is limited space, but by doing so, you can also enter to win a driving experience at PEC Atlanta. So if you go on the PEC ATL Instagram, you'll see the link in the bio. Patrick Long hosts a number of guests who went through the PEC. And I got to spend time with three-time Emmy Award winner Francesca Amaker from here in Atlanta and walk her through the Heritage Gallery. And our friend Tori, I was able to stand next to his car and talk about that for this little virtual party that we're going to be having. So I would encourage folks to celebrate with us and register to be on the 5th anniversary celebration with Patrick Long and friends from the PEC Atlanta. And the date on it, let me look at the date here. I want to make sure that I get this right. Wednesday, December 9th at 6 p.m.
Oh, very cool. And this will be a virtual thing that people can join in. Is that how it works?
Right, you register for it, and then you can get in, but you also can register to win the driving experience.
Oh, that is so cool. And then for everyone else, this, of course, is our buddy Tori's car that we were talking about over there. And huge shout out and love to Mr. VDubber for life, who I exchanged a couple texts with today. So he is doing well, everybody. He's enjoying his social media break, and as right he should.
Thankful for that friendship, and boy, what a gift that has been.
Same here. There's a lot of people that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to talk to if he didn't put them in this chair over here for me, when he was booking guests. And just a great friend. Great guy. Great guy.
That's how we met.
That's exactly right, Ray Shaffer. Gosh.
That's right.
I am so amazed at where we both are today versus where we were 3-4 years ago, whatever that was.
Yeah, short time. Lots happened.
Probably 2.5 years ago. It's amazing.
Yeah.
How do you feel about tonight's show? Did we do good?
It was fun. Thank you. I really enjoyed the opportunity to catch up and talk about all the what we've been able to do and the things that we're thankful for, and of course even to remember our friends that unfortunately we've lost. So thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, Ray Shaffer. Did we get to everything that we wanted to cover?
Yeah, we always do. It's just it's so great talking with you. You have the best show, I'll tell you.
Well, in that case, thank you, Ray Shaffer. In that case, we are recording an episode tomorrow for Thanksgiving. Tomorrow's guest will be Pete Stout from 000 Magazine. I think it may be Pete Stout and wife. We'll see. Because I have a feeling there may be some BMW talk to be had as well as the Porsche talk. We'll see. But Pete Stout will be here tomorrow live at 5 if you want to check it out live. Otherwise, the replay will go up on Thanksgiving for you to enjoy then after you've had your turkey. And then next week, we're back live with the new shows next week live. Adam Ferrara will be here. So that's cool too, from Top Gear USA in the old days, and also Rescue Me he was on, and in our world we know him as a really, really funny comedian. So Adam Ferrara next week. A lot of stuff coming up. Ray Shaffer, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your friendship, and just thank you for being you. I mean that in every way. Thank you for being you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks to you for the same. I mean, ditto right back at you. I mean, you said it perfectly. Thank you. And all my best to you and Nicole. Love you guys both. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Tomorrow live with Pete Stout. Replay Thursday. Other than that, have a great turkey, everybody. Talk to you soon.